Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Microsoft Saudi Arabia Power Platform Meetup, and we have amazing guests today. I'm shortly going to introduce to you to them, and I think it's not anymore a surprise. We have the Microsoft team over here on a very special request. All the product managers are here. They're here to show us what's new inside in Excel and some awesome stuff. So let's begin the show. 18 January 2022. So just quickly about me, I know most of you know me. I'm Faraz Sheikh, my Microsoft certified trainer. I'm staying in Saudi Arabia, and that's my meetup. That's what I run over here. And I'm a Microsoft valuable professional. And my mission is with my friends, Excel Avengers, Data Avengers, everybody who's over here, to come up with a great support and give you the best solution. And my passion is always learning and sharing the knowledge. So welcome everybody. And oops, okay, that was quick. But before I go ahead, and today this community has been built with the community itself and the people who have contributed over here in the last year. And I would like to thank them, all of them. And this wouldn't be possible without these great experts who has come to Saudi Arabia Meetup and shared their knowledge and made this place a lovely place where we can connect, share, and learn together. So thank you, speakers. Thank you for making the 2021 amazing. And we are looking forward for some more amazing speaker coming up. And then we have some upcoming events. We have Victor from Nigeria, who would be talking about versatile lookup functions, and he would be talking some great functions. And this would be a series which he has completed on London Excel Meetup. So make sure that you come up and join this meetup as well. And Carlos, he is yet to announce his content. And then we have Harshvardhan, we are planning to have a meetup with Harsh. By the way, let me tell you, Harsh is the youngest guy who will be coming up in our meetup. He's 14 years old, and he will be coming and talking about some Excel stuff for Power BI. So make sure that you feel free to scan the QR code where you can straight away direct it to the meetup page. And there are some lovely events happening in the house as well, all over the community. We have some events happening in Vancouver, Baku, London, Excel Toronto, even in Australia. So make sure that you go and join those events as well. You can see the whole month calendar has been phased out. And even you can go and experience this meetups on Excel Exciting /meetup, where every month I am organizing, I'm just collecting the data and making sure that this is available and handy for you over there. So let me just quickly share that screen to you as well and share to you. So I hope you can see my screen, and this is a page where you can just go and join the meetup. Once you click it, it will direct you to the meetup page. And this is also the meetup link where you can just select the upcoming month. So it will just tell you in advance which month this meetup is going to take place. By the way, this entirely stuff has been made on Excel and embedded on the website. So this is exciting, isn't it? So moving back to our presentation now, over here. And there is a global summit event is handling. So if you haven't grabbed your tickets, make sure that you grab the tickets, and even Microsoft team will be also there, and they will be speaking also on this event. And as usual, I always invite the community members over here to please come forward and share your knowledge. If you'd like to speak anything about Microsoft Office, Power Platform, Azure, anything, you can feel free to write me on my email account, excelexciting@outlook.com. And you can reach me on LinkedIn anywhere, and I'll be always available. Great. So just quick housekeeping. I think we can quickly go through this one and make sure, note that this session is getting live streaming and recorded. And this recording will be available also on YouTube. And later on, we'll put it on other social media channels as well. So now the day has come. Finally, we have Kai Hunkin, Lee, Danielle, Itai, lovely people from Microsoft joining over here. And I would like to take to another screen. These are 4 lovely people over here, but I got a chance to meet only with one person. And I would like to show his picture to you. This is Guy Hunkin. Guy Hunkin is in product lead manager on Excel, and he is taking care of the Power Query team. And so, and by the way, this sticker is given to me by Guy. Okay, so if you want this sticker, then you have to be good friends with Guy. You have to follow Guy, okay? And Guy, I hope you'll be sending us some more stickers right now.
Sure. Next time, I mean, we need to meet face to face to give you some stickers, right?
Yeah. Okay. So without taking much of the time of the speakers who are over here, I'm going to leave the floor to our guest over here on the hot seat, those who are here today. And over to you, Ty. I'll give it the floor to Ty. Ty is an program manager as well. And I'll leave the floor for them to introduce so they can better introduce themselves. Over to you, Ty.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Faraz, for the introduction and for inviting us to talk about what's new in Excel. And thank you guys, everyone, for joining us this evening. We're very, very, very excited. Actually, this is the first time we have the opportunity to talk in front of users from Saudi Arabia. So it's a very, very special event for us. But also see here some folks from the Middle East, from Europe. So again, we're very excited for this special opportunity. And as guys said, we hope to meet you all face to face one day. I hope it will be soon. We have a lot of new cool stuff to show you. But before we're starting, again, just to introduce ourselves. So my name is Itai. Together with me, Lev, Danielle, and Guy. We are program managers in the Microsoft Excel team. We're focusing on different aspects of the product. We're talking to you from Israel, where one of the main development centers of Microsoft is located. In Excel Israel, we're focusing mainly on the web version of Excel, Excel for the web, but also on the data import and transformation experience in Excel, all platforms. During the session today, you will hear about the features that are being developed around the world in our team, but also in other teams. So we will do our best to represent everyone and answer your questions, of course. That's all. Let's get started. By the way, we're going to have time for questions at the end. But if you prefer to write down your questions in advance, you can use the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. I'll be right sharing my screen. Please let me know when you see the presentation.
We see it.
Excellent. Okay, so first I would like to talk very briefly about the challenges of the modern workplace as we see them. The first challenge is dealing with the explosion of data. We believe that Excel is more critical today than ever because the world of data is just evolving so rapidly. The data that the world creates and captures and consumes grows exponentially. This is no longer big data, but even a tsunami of data that needs to be managed somehow, right? We need to manage it. We need to navigate through that data. We need to analyze it and get insights, and it should be fast, right? And this is the second challenge. Despite the enormous amount of data, your boss wants the report to be ready today because tomorrow he or she has some important meeting with the customer. You know the drill. So we know that the data is expanding rapidly and the need for data analysis tools is not going to stop soon. But what about us? Our brains, our skills, do they evolve in the same exponential rate? Of course not, right? And Excel is exactly right here to help you to fill that gap by introducing smart tools and fast tools that will get you meaningful insights out of your data. And this is how we overcome the challenges of the modern workplace. You'll be see with the features we'll present today how it comes to action. Okay, I promised to talk about Excel for the web, right? So for using Excel online, and now I will ask the Beatles to forgive me, all you need is a browser. Simple as that. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are. It can be in at the office, working from home, in the train where I used to work a lot in the past. It doesn't matter which operation system are you using. It could be Windows, Mac, or even Android or iOS. It doesn't matter which browser you're using. It can be Edge, Chrome, Firefox, Safari, name it. All you need is a browser and an internet connection. With Excel for the web, one of the big advantages is that you're always up to date. How many times did it happen to you that you send a file to your friend, but he or she could not open it because you are working with the most updated version of Office 365, but they are still stuck with Office 2003. Sounds familiar, right? Well, with Excel for the web, it just can't happen because everyone are working on the latest and greatest version, which gets updated about twice a week. So you'll get all the new improvements and all the new features coming right out of the oven. We're working around the clock to provide you the same familiar interface of Excel, but in the web browser. So you will not need to learn any new application. You will see how it looks today. But if for some reason you still want to take your file from Excel for the web and work in the client desktop version, so this is not a problem because within one click in the web app, you can open your file in the desktop app. Okay, let's start with the demos. To demonstrate you how powerful Excel for the web is, we're going to show you some of the demos today in the web app and some in the desktop app. So try not to get confused because they do look similar. We hope that you will find all of those useful and insightful. I will switch now to the Excel. 1 second, please. Please let me know when you see the Excel file.
Yes, we can see it.
Excellent. So our first demo will be about XLOOKUP and dynamic arrays. First, XLOOKUP. I believe that all of you are familiar with VLOOKUP, right? One of the most popular functions in Excel that used to find values in a table or in a range. You can do really great stuff with VLOOKUP. Yet it has certain limitations that require additional knowledge that can be sometimes tricky to overcome. Just one example, VLOOKUP uses approximate match by default, while most users will probably prefer an exact match. Over the years, we heard all your feedback and came up with the next generation of the lookup function called XLOOKUP. It is much more easier, friendlier, and more powerful. Let's start. Here I have some data of my retail company, fake of course, and I want to use XLOOKUP for finding values. My first task here will be finding the sales value of invoice number 1005 using XLOOKUP. Let's start to write it. The parameters for XLOOKUP are pretty easy to remember. Okay, First, what am I looking for? I'm looking for invoice number 1005, right? Then where to find it? I want to find it in the invoices column. So I'll take it as a parameter. And third, what to return? I want to return the sales value, right, from the sales column. This is it. I'm closing the parentheses, and here's the answer. Easy, right? It was super fast, and this is actually the most basic minimal usage of XLOOKUP. To perform advanced lookups, we have 3 more optional arguments, which are, let's get to the edit mode again. As you can see here, there are 3 more optional arguments. Let's see. If not found, so if there is no matching value in my table, what value to show? None, NE, 0, choose anything. Match mode, the 5th one, is the type of match that you would like. Is it an exact match? If not, so the exact or next smaller item, the next larger item, etc. Again, this is optional. Exact match will be the default if you don't specify. And the last optional argument is search mode. Search mode lets you configure the type and direction of search. You can search first to last, last to first, binary, descending or descending. This is a more advanced option that can impact the calculation performance. For the first tasks, I won't use any of these optional arguments. And now let's complete the second task to understand better. Now I'm looking for the item with the lowest sales, okay? For that, I will look for the sale value of 0. Let's see if we have such an entry in the table. And if not, I will look for the next larger entry, next larger sale, sorry. So again, XLOOKUP, I'm opening parentheses. What am I looking for this cell with the value 0? Where to find it? In the sales column. And what to return? Now I'll do something interesting. I don't want just one value of one of the columns. I would like to get the whole entry. So instead of a column, I will write the name of the table, which is traders, and you'll be right, understand, I will explain what I've done here. If not found, so none. Match mode. Now I want exact match of 0 or the next larger item, right? For getting the item with the lowest sales. So I can double click or type 1. And search mode is not relevant for this task. Closing parentheses, and here's the answer. Now, as you can see, I got the answer, but remember that I've chose the table, the whole table as a parameter. I didn't put a single column. And that means that I want to get back an array. And that leads us to the second topic of this demo, which is dynamic arrays. Until now, until today, each formula we wrote returned us a single value, just like in the first example, right? We write a formula and got one result. If we wanted in the past additional values or additional results, we have wrote another formula or copied the same formula and multiplied it. With dynamic arrays, that all changes, because now you can write a formula, hit the enter key, and get an array of results returned, just like we did in the second task. Okay, one formula many results. This will allow us to build more capable spreadsheet, faster spreadsheet with less formulas, and that means less chance of errors. Let's do the third task to understand better the concept of dynamic arrays. Now I'm looking for the last occurrence of the item chai. Okay, so again, let's start to type XLOOKUP. What am I looking for? This value, the item chai. Where to find it? Under the product name column. And what to return? So again, I want the whole entry. So I'll write the table's name instead of one column. If not found, so NA. Match mod is not relevant in this case. And search mode, now we wanted the last occurrence in this table. So I will choose to search last to first. Hopefully the calculation will be faster that way. And here's the answer. Nice, right? Now, do you see the blue thin line, okay, around the entry? Do you see it? This is the indication for dynamic array. Also, pay attention that only the first cell, this one, is editable. You see, I can edit it, but when I go to the other cells, they are grayed out. Okay, I cannot edit this formula. The reason is that these cells are affected from the formula in the first cell. As we said before, one formula gives us an array of results. Nice, right? Now, you must be asking yourself, what's so dynamic about dynamic arrays? We saw the array part, what about the dynamic? Dynamic arrays are getting updated automatically and without any need for recalculation or anything like that. Moreover, they grow and spill to the near cells if needed. Let's see how it works with two examples of two new functions that we've added with dynamic arrays. These are unique and sort. So here I want to get a unique list of all the regions in my table. Okay, we have the regions column. I will start typing equal unique, open parentheses, and I'll pick the regions column. And here are all the regions, all the unique regions in this column. Next, I would like to get a sorted list of all the products. So again, I will type sort. This is another new function. And I take the product names column. And here, super fast, I get a list of all the listed, products listed alphabetically. There are many duplicates here, so I can add the unique function in between, right? To get a list, a sorted list of all the unique products. And here it is. After inserting the function, if the original data is changed, so for example, let's add another region to the table, another unique region like New York. I'm not hitting enter yet. Please look at this list of unique regions. Once I will click enter, the list is automatically updated immediately, right? And this is the dynamic part of dynamic array. It's updated dynamically. To harness the power of dynamic arrays, we've added 7 new functions, including the unique, sort, and 5 more. I'm not going over all of them in this demo, but I'm more than inviting you to go search for them online. Believe me, they are super useful and very easy. Thanks. So I'm more than inviting you to go try the new functions. And this is it. That was the demo of XLOOKUP and dynamic array. I believe that these are game changers in the formula area, and I hope that you find these insightful. Now I'm going to hand over the mic to my partner Lev, who will tell you about additional cool stuff in Excel. We have time for 1 or 2 questions in this area, if someone has. If not, so we have the time for Q&A at the end. Anyone?
Nothing I can say, Itai. I think the team members are answering the questions in the chat. They're taking care of that.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Itai. Thank you for us for inviting. Hi, everyone. So let me share my screen now. So everyone can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Great. So I'm going to discuss with you today 2 new and very cool functions that we have in Excel, the let and the lambda functions. And I'm going to show you some cool stuff using Excel's Office scripts. So let's start with the let function. Let function is basically a function that allows us to assign names to calculation results. And it is very similar to variables that we have in programming. So the let is a new concept that we have in Excel, and we can actually create variables within our formulas. Now, why should we want to create these variables within the formulas? Well, there are 2 reasons. First is to make your formulas simple. We all know that sometimes formulas can get very long and very difficult to understand. And the second thing is that it helps improve performance, especially when working with very large data sets with hundreds of thousands of rows and very complex formulas. So that will improve your performance. Here is an example of the basic syntax of the let function, which is basically what is the name of the variable that I want to create. That could be any name that I can think of, make it meaningful. And the name value is what I want to assign to that variable. So it could be, for example, a certain number, a certain text, or even a certain calculation or formula. And the last argument will always be the calculation. So after I create the variables and assign the values to them, I would like to perform my actual calculation. Now, here in this example, we can see that we have only 1 set of variables, but we can have many variables. And actually, as more variables, as longer the formula gets, then the let gets more helpful. And so you can use a lot of variables. Let's see an example here of the let function. So we can see that we have the variable x, and we decided we want to assign the value of 1 to the variable. And this will be the calculation, x plus 1. Now, we know that we have assigned 1 to x, so 1 plus 1 equals 2. And this is a basic example of the let function. Now, an important thing to note about the let function is the scope of the let function. The scope of the let function is within the let function itself. So if you create variables within that function, you can only use them within the let function. You cannot use it in another cells. Excel will not recognize them. So only in that cell within that let function. Now, enough with talking, and let's see an example of how easy it is to create a let function. So basically what I want to do here is to create 3 variables, which I call x, y, z, and assign to them the values of 1, 2, and 3. And after I assign the values to these variables, I would like to calculate the result of x plus y plus z. Now, this is a pretty simple example, and most of you will not need or will not want to use the let function to do it, and it's okay. So it's just to show you the concept of the let function. So we start by typing let. And then we actually start typing the name of the variable, the first one. So we'll call it x. And next, what I want to assign, what value I want to assign, and it will be 1. Next value is y, sorry, next variable. And to the y, I'm going to assign the value of 2. And the last one will be z, and I will assign the value of 3 to this variable. Now you can see that I have written here 3 sets of variables, x, y, z. And now my last argument, that after which I will close the function, will be the actual calculation that I want to perform. So remember the x, y, and z that we have created here before. Now I can actually use them here, and Excel will recognize them. And you see that Excel understands that x plus y plus z equals 6, because these are the values that we have assigned to the let function. So that's a basic example for the let function. Of course, it will be much more useful and helpful as longer as your formulas get and as more difficult to understanding they get. This is just to show you the concept. Now, let's go to probably my newest favorite function in Excel. XLOOKUP rocks, I agree, but I think LAMBDA is going to drastically and radically change the way people use Excel, and you will see in a minute why. So basically, the LAMBDA function allows you to create brand new functions using Excel's formula language. Now, some of you you know that you can write user-defined functions in VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, to create very specific functions that you can use on your workbook. Now, LAMBDA allows us to do it within Excel. We don't need to use VBA for that. We can actually use existing functions, and using these functions, create new functions. So it's absolutely amazing, and it makes Excel super powerful. And really, it will be interesting to see in 5 years how people are going to use lambdas and what amazing things they're going to create. It will radically change Excel, I think. But before we are talking about the future, let's talk about the present and understand how we can write a lambda. So the principles are pretty simple. Whenever we come to write a lambda, we basically want to create a new function. So if we want to create a new function, we need to think first and write down somewhere, whether on a notebook or in Excel, or understand what is the logic of the formula, meaning what are the arguments that will be used within that formula, and what is the calculation that the formula is supposed to perform. After we figure out what we want to do, we would like to test our lambda function with sample values. Theory is one thing, but we need to make sure that our calculations are correct. So we're testing it with sample values. Now, after we see that everything has worked fine, I'm going to add the lambda to the name manager. So the name manager, for those of you who don't know, can be found under the formulas tab if you click on the name manager. So here we are going to add our lambda functions, and this is going to be the way where they will be stored. We will see that in a minute. And of course, last thing is the best thing, use the lambda in the workbook. So lambda scope is the entire workbook, so you can use it in any cell in the workbook, and you can reuse the formula. And if you send the workbook to another person, then he will be also able to use the lambda function. Now, let's create a lambda function, and let's start with a very basic lambda function, which helps us calculate BMI. BMI is body mass index, and we know that the formula for BMI is weight divided by height to the power of 2. So we see here that we have 2 arguments that are going to be used. One will be the weight, which we'll insert, and the second will be the height. And the calculation should be the following. Now let's see how we do that. So I've written here some sample values and the result of the calculation of these sample values, just to make sure that my lambda is working correct. Now let's start typing the lambda function and test it with sample values. So I'm starting by typing lambda. And basically now I'm going to write the names of my arguments, the arguments that I want to use. So it's similar to the variable declaration that we had in the let function, only here, are going to be the names of the arguments. It's recommended to have them as clear as and understandable as possible, because you want to understand how to use this function, or if someone else is using the function, then the arguments should have some useful text. So the first argument, we're going to call it weight. And the next argument we're going to type is height, because we said that we have two arguments that we're going to use in the BMI function. So weight and height. And the last thing I'm going to write is the actual calculation that I want to perform. So we know that the formula we have to write is weight. Now you can see that I can already see the weight appearing here below, which means that so far I'm doing good. And the calculation is weight divided by height, power of 2. And then I close my lambda function. Now, I'm not finished yet. This is the syntax of the lambda function, but I want to test it now. So what I have to do is I have to open another set of parentheses in which I'm going to type the test parameters that I'm going to use. So our weight is 100 kilograms. So I'll be typing 100. And the height is 1.85 meters. Now, if everything goes well, when I click enter, I should get this result. And we can see that it worked. So this is just an indicator for us that our lambda function so far is working as expected. And now let's do the really interesting stuff. And this will be actually copying the lambda function. So I'm selecting the lambda function without the sample parameters. Right click, copy. I go to the formulas and name manager, and I create a new name. Now the new name is going to be BMI. So the name is actually the name of the formula that I want to have. So you can call it BMI, you can call it LEV, you can call it whatever you want, as long as it makes sense to you. So the name is BMI. And the formula I'm going to type here, I'm going to paste the lambda that I've created. So this is the lambda. I will click OK and click close. Now, if everything goes well, now when I type BMI, check this out, I have a brand new function in Excel, which is called BMI. And when I open the parentheses, I have two parameters, weight and height. So I can just type it like that, close parentheses, and voila, we have the lambda function working. Now, you don't actually see that there is a lambda function here. You see a name called BMI. The BMI is referring to the lambda function, which allows us to perform this sort of calculation. So this is what I would call a pretty simple example for a lambda. And now I would like to refer to a user question that we have received. And the user question was, can I convert a date to words? So for example, can I convert the following date, which is my birthday, to October 6th, 1989, etc. So there is no built-in formula, as far as I know, at least in Excel, that can do it. There are some overrides to that. You can use the text function and it will convert some of the numbers to text. And you can also use user-defined functions using VBA. And now I want to show you that I've created Lambda function, which does this magic. So you can see here, this is my birthday, October 6, 1989. And I've basically created a function which is called date to text, which refers to a date and creates and translates this date to words. Now, of course, you can modify this Lambda function so it will, instead of, for example, showing the years as a word, it will show it as letters. So it's customizable. It's up to you. You can see today's date is January 18th, 2022. And if you are interested, I can send you the syntax of these formulas later, so you can try it and use it on your Excel. And basically, it's up to you what you make with the lambdas. You can create truly amazing and new functions, and you will be the first in the world to create those because it's a pretty new function. So feel free to try it and use it, and let me know what you think. Okay, so this is the Lambda function. And now let's go to the last part of my session at least. And this is the Office scripts. So now I'm going back to Excel for the web. Now we can see that it is quite similar to Excel desktop. And let's talk about Office scripts and why do we need Office scripts. So Office scripts is the scripting language of Excel for the web. And very important thing to say, it is not replacing VBA. VBA is here to stay. It is just another language that will allow you to automate your work when you're working with Excel for the web. And basically, it has some advantages, such as it's cross-platform and it's a modern program language. So it's based on JavaScript. So you can actually write code in JavaScript or TypeScript, and the script will work on Excel. And we can use it, of course, to automate time-consuming work and save a lot of time of work and make our work more efficient. And another nice use that we have with Office scripts is that we can use it as part of a larger workflow. We can integrate it in Power Automate workflow. And that's where we can actually create integration with other software such as Teams, Outlook, and many more software. And you can create very powerful stuff with that. Now, some of you may ask, how can I start learning Office scripts? How can I use it? So what I would suggest is first, we can always use the recorder button that we have under the Automate tab here. We can do similarly to the macro recorder that we have in VBA. We have a record actions button, which can actually record the actions that we perform and translate it to JavaScript code. After a while, after we play a bit around, we can actually try to modify some parts of the code or get some snippets from the web, find samples, documentation, and of course, trial and error. That's the best way to learn. Now let's see how easy it is to record a new script. So the first script that we want to create is pretty simple. I want to change the font of this cell to the following properties: Arial, 14, bold, and red color. So I'm going to click Record Actions. Now you can see here that I'm recording now. And now I'm going to start clicking. First, I will change the font to Arial. Now please notice here that we have changes now. And we're going to change the font to 14. And we're going to set the setting to bold and the color to red. And you can see that for the 4 actions that we've performed, we have 4 actions recorded. Now we can stop recording. So I click here, stop. And now let's take a look at the script first. So don't get too afraid if you don't understand. Take some time to understand the syntax and get used to it. But this is the script that we have. And we can see that it is recording certain changes to the format of cell E17, which is the following cell. For example, it sets the colors to red, it sets it to bold, changes the size, and changes the name of the font. Now let's see if our script is working. So I'm going to clear the format. Let's see. Let's clear the format of, yes, clear format. Let's clear the format. And now let's run the script and see if it's working. And we can see that it's working. And of course, you can write more complicated scripts that will change different ranges. But this is a basic example of the Office scripts. And now, another ask that we were asked by the users is how to create a table of contents for the workbook. So I want a table of contents to show all the names of the worksheets and link to them and I want to do it using Office scripts. So I've already created a script that performs that. And I called it table of contents. And I will click run. This is the script. If someone is interested, I can also share it with you after the session. And I will click run. And you can see that the script is running. And now we see that we have a table of contents appearing here, and we can see it working. And you can see that it is also added some hidden sheets. But if we click on one of these sheets, it will take us to the sheet. And this is a nice way to create a table of contents for your workbook. So this was an example of Office scripts, just a taste of it. There is a lot of documentation on the web that you can read to learn. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions and play around and see how it can help your work. Do we have time for questions?
Surely, I'm just checking if anything is there on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a question, one question by Wilson in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a plan to develop a rich object model for Office scripts to match all the objects available in VBA?
So I would say that I'm not sure if all of the objects, but today it's already referring to multiple objects, and any object that you have in Excel should be accessible by Office scripts. So if you find anything that is not accessible, then just let me know. It should be, yes, it should be accessible.
And there's a question related to LAMBDA. The user would like to know that whether it's only working on a specific sheet or it will be working on entire workbook.
It will be working on an entire workbook, although you can set the scope, I think, to a specific worksheet, just as you do with names. So you can try it, but the default will be to the entire workbook. Okay, so
Okay.
any other question, just write in the chat, and thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed.
Great. Thank you, Lev. Hi, everyone. Let me share my
Hi,
screen
Danielle.
now. 1 second. Let me share my screen. All right. Can you see my screen? Yes, perfect.
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Perfect.
great. Thank you so much. So, hi, everyone. It's Danielle here, and it's really nice to meet you all. Really happy to be here. In my section, I would love to take you through some features that I really hope will help you save time and be more productive when collaborating with others at any time and from anywhere. You know, especially at this time, we at Microsoft see and understand the importance in collaboration, you know, to be able to work remotely, often across geos and time differences. We want it to be very easy and seamless and very, very efficient. And, you know, I guess most of you are familiar, you know, with a common scenario in the past. But let's say one of your colleagues are working on a file and you try to open it and then it was blocked for you. And you have to wait for him or her to be done before you could open it up. But thankfully, you know, this is not the case anymore. And I will now show to you, I will now show you how you can easily collaborate together with not at all blocking each other. I will walk you through some really awesome features, and I will divide into 2 parts. I will start with features that will hopefully help you work together simultaneously. So when you're actively working on the same sheet or workbook. And the second part, I will show you how you can work together asynchronously. So not together at the same time. So let me start by the first part, and I want to show you what collaboration looks like in Excel. Now, what you'll notice here, by the way, here I'm in Excel Web. You can see it's pretty, as Itai mentioned, really similar to desktop. And what you can see here, you can see that, first of all, we call it the collab corner. You can see here in the top right corner, all the people that are working in this workbook. Also, you can see Itai here, and you can see him wandering around in the sheet, going up and down with cells, for example. Here, Lev also is joining. And I can really see them walking around and saying, okay, I won't touch these cells right now because I see they're working on it. Also, let's say if they edit some of the cells, so Itai or Lev, if you can edit a few cells, you will see that the second that they submit the change, everything will update automatically. No need to wait. Of course, no need to refresh the session. If one of you can please update it and demonstrate that, will be great. But it's all very, very seamless and very, very smooth. Here we can see Itai here walking around. You see changing the values, and you can see the graph here on the right hand side. You see everything is changing automatically, which is very, very convenient. So this is, first of all, I just wanted to give an overview of what it looks like when working together on the same sheet. And now moving on to the second feature around working together in the same sheet, it's called sheet view. Okay, so now we saw what it's like, when we collaborate together on the same sheet with the same view. But let's say I'm working on a certain table, and for that I'm going to move to another sheet called sheet view. Okay, so here, as you can see here, there's a table, and so let's say we're working together on the same certain table, but each one of us wants to see the data a little differently, without affecting other. And by the way, this was one of the top asks we got from customers, that in Excel, when filtering and sorting, it influenced everyone, and it could be very inconvenient if I don't want a certain filter and Itai does, or the opposite. So for this need exactly, we implemented sheet view. With sheet view, you can work on your data by filtering and sorting it in any way you can, but you're not affecting anyone. So let me demonstrate that in this sheet. Okay, so we have this table. Sorry, my dog here. We have Daisy. No. We have this table, and let's say that I want to see the data for 2017. Okay, so I'll click the filter button and I'll select, and now I only want to see the data on 2017. Okay, and I'm going to do apply. Now, when I do apply, notice the following message comes up saying, others are also making changes and asking me, what do you want? Do you want to see everyone, like in affect everyone else, or I want to see just mine? And to demonstrate sheet view, I'm going to click see just mine. When clicking on that, first of all, a few things happen. Okay, first of all, you can see, of course, it filtered to 2017 as I wanted it to do. And it entered sheet view. And it was very important for us to make it very prominent to you that right now you're not in the regular view, you're in the sheet view. So by that, we temporarily, of course, colored the row and column headers black. You can also see next to the sheet name, this eye icon, and on hover, it also says temporary view. So this is what sheet view looks like. Now, when I'm in this view, 11 and Itai that have this workbook open, they don't see this view. It's only my view. I can continue sorting, filtering it as I wish, and it's only my view. Now, another cool feature with sheet view that we implemented, and hopefully it will be helpful, is that let's say there's a certain table and things that you often, when you come in, you come in and you do the certain filtering. So for that flow, instead of every time coming and filtering and turning the way you want to, there's an ability to save a sheet view, okay? And then every time you don't have to do the whole actions, and I'll show you exactly how. So we have the sheet view of 2017. You'll see in this sheet view group under view, you can see there's a button called keep. When I click here, you'll see that it changed and gave it a name, a default name of view 1. Of course, I can rename it any way I want. For example, test. Okay, so this is the name of my sheet view. And by the way, in any case, if you named it or didn't name it, it's very, very easy to leave the sheet view, and you can see there's a button called exit. When I click on exit, you'll see it removed the black indication, and they removed the icon in the sheet name, and return to the regular view. Now, if I want to come back to the view I just created, simply in the dropdown, you'll see it saved my my sheet view. Clicking on that, you see, automatically enters the view that I just saved, and I can work from there. Two important notes on this area. First of all, the sheet view that I just created is available to anyone working on this workbook. So if Itai and Lev also want to use it, they'll also be able to see it in the dropdown and so on. And the sheet views that they created, I can also use if they saved it. So that's also very convenient. And the second important note, of course, is that sheet view only affects the way the data looks, and like sorting and filtering, but not the data update itself. So for example, if I take this cell of clothing and an exclamation mark at the end and click enter, okay, this did affect everyone, of course. So when I exit the sheet view, you'll see it saved it. So the data, working on the data itself and changing the values, formulas, anything, it will update it also for the regular view. Okay, so that's sheet view. Okay, so yes, this concludes the first part that I shared with you of like working together, you know, in the same sheet. Now moving on to the second part of my presentation of how can we collaborate in Excel when a few users are working together, but not necessarily at the same time. Okay, so we also have really cool features that will help you work together asynchronously. So let's start with comments. And for comments, I'll go back to the previous sheet, okay? So let's say you need to assign a task, ask a question, give any kind of note or feedback. You can easily do that using comments. How can we add a comment? First of all, you can always you can stand on a cell. You can also select the whole range. And there are two simple ways in which you can insert a comment. The first one, under Review tab, you'll see this is the comments group. You can click New Comment, okay? Another option is to right-click on a cell, and you can see there's a new comment. Now, when you can see in the comments little card, it says add mention or comment, which is very, very convenient. So let's say I want to give Itai a certain note. I can tag Itai. Okay, see Itai Goldstein, and I can write, please take a look, and send it. Now, when I send this comment, it doesn't only stay in Excel. What happened at this instance is that it sends Itai an email notification saying, hey, Danielle had mentioned you in this workbook on this certain scene, even with a preview of the cell and the area. And with a simple clicking, he can click here to open the comment, and it will open the file straight away. It even will already open the comment, and he can review the comment that I just gave him. Okay, so that's pretty convenient. Of course, there are actions for the comment, like if I want to edit it, I want to add something, delete or resolve it, I can do that. Reviewing comments is also very convenient. Just hover over the comment, and I can see all the comments made. But that's not the only way. There's of course a whole comments area that I can review all the comments in this sheet. Here you can see in the top right corner there's a comments button. Clicking here will show me all the comments in the sheet. I can also navigate very easily by clicking and it jumps to the relevant cell. You can also see that a comment is not only by itself. You can really do a corresponding here. So reply to one another, tag one another, make a conversation around a certain cell or a range, and this will hopefully be able to. So if necessarily Itai is not working with me right now, but I want to just mention him for when he's back working on this area, I can do that and not be concerned to ping him, because everything will be will be available also in the mail and in this pane, of course. So that's it. So that's comments. Now lastly, I'm going to share the last two features, and those features. And by the way, I saw that in the beginning of the presentation, some called out this feature in the chat. So the last two features that I'm going to share with you are around reviewing changes made in this workbook. So there are two main features that I'm going to share with you. The first one is called Show Changes. So we're still under Review tab, and you will see that there's this new button called Show Changes. Let me click on that. Okay, great. So Show Changes is a feature that shows you all the recent changes made to a specific cell or range in this workbook. The default view is seeing all the changes made in this workbook, but of course you can see that in the filter, you can define a certain sheet or even define a specific range that you want to review. So let's say we're right now in the collaboration sheet, and I'm going to choose that. And I can see all the changes that were made. So we see Itai made some changes, changed it from this to this. Lev made some changes. I did. You can see everything. See, and all the changes that were made recently. Okay, so you can see it's usually like a week. It shows they did like in a week. And also same here, you can navigate and jump into to the relevant sheet that the change was made. So again, as I said, this shows the recent changes made in this workbook. But what if you want to see an older version of this workbook, review it, even like download a copy or even revert to that certain version? For that, there's another feature called version history. Okay, so let me close Show Changes. Version history you can access by two ways. The first way is if you see the name of the workbook, you can click here and there's all the information. At the bottom you can see version history. Another option is by clicking File, Info, and Version History. It's loading 1 second. Okay, great. So version history from the creation of this workbook shows all the versions that were created to this workbook. I see all the versions here on the right pane. So for example, if I go to January 10th, I expand the list and I see all the changes made. So let's say I want to see this version. When I click here, it shows me really how the workbooks look like in this specific version. I can navigate between the different sheets and see what it looked like. And in this view, I have two main options that I can do. If let's say I want to save it as a backup, I can save a copy and it will download this specific version to my downloads folder, and I can even restore it. So let's say we made some changes and we decided that we want to go back to a previous version. I just click here, restore, and it will make this version the most recent version of this workbook. So these are the two main features, that you can review all the changes made. And this actually concludes my part. I hope you enjoyed it and that these features will be helpful and valuable for you. And I'd love to take your questions if there is any, or I can also answer in the chat. And of course, sorry, to go back to the document, just clicking here and it will return to the sheet. So thank you so much. Time for questions. Was there anything?
I'm just checking that for you.
Thank you so much. I don't see anything.
I think the questions which have been asked has been getting answered by the team.
Great.
There were some chats, questions on YouTube, even they have been answered.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zelmi.
So it's my turn right now, right?
Yes, we have
Yes.
Cool.
Guy
So
Hunkin.
just give me a second to share my screen.
Yeah.
Share screen. Let me know when you can see it. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, now yes.
Yeah, yes, guys.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great.
There is a nice comment for you in the chat. We'd like to see that from Oz.
Yeah, well, let me try and open the chat window.
Guy Hunkin, the show.
Yeah, thanks. So we've seen a lot of great and cool and amazing demos from my colleagues, Danielle, Lev, and Itai. I will walk you through a final part of this presentation. I will talk about our cross-platform journey in Power Query in Excel. And there will also be a couple of summary slides with some useful links and so on. So let's get going. Speaking about the cross-platform journey in Excel, first of all, I'd like to share a bit about the history of data import and shaping capabilities in Excel. So in a nutshell, our journey to bring Power Query into Excel started around 2010, 2013. Back then, what was available in Excel is just the legacy get external data experience. It was pretty limited. There were a small number of connectors from which you could use to bring data from popular data sources, like you could bring data from text files, SQL Server, and so on. You couldn't really shape your data. You had to use Excel formulas or VBA for that, and that was complicated. At the same time, a different organization in Microsoft, in SQL, specifically SQL folks, has developed an add-in to Excel called Power Query add-in. And it was amazing. It offered a rich set of data connectors, like dozens of connectors, and you could import data from various files, databases, Azure services, online services, and so on. You could import, after importing the data, you could shape it and clean it in powerful ways through a Power Query editor tool. It is a no-code experience, which we will see shortly, and which allows you to clean your data in powerful ways without writing a single line of code. And finally, you could load your data into Excel and continue analyzing it. We realized that, hey, Power Query is really cool and amazing and so powerful, and I personally love it a lot. And we decided to modernize the get data experience in Excel. With this in mind, in 2016, we released the first version of Power Query natively integrated into Excel. It was available side by side next to the legacy experience. In 2017, we completed the journey, removed the legacy get data experience from the Excel ribbon, and all the entry points to importing and shaping data are available from that moment through Power Query tools. Moving to the next slide, that's how the Power Query experience looks today on Win32. On the left, you can see various categories of data sources from which you can import the data from. Like I've mentioned, you can import data from files, databases, and other data sources. And on the right, this is the query editor tool. And well, you can really do some cool magical stuff here without writing even a single formula or a single line in VBA. But the problem with that solution is that it works only in Excel for Windows. And over time, we had a lot of feedback from you folks, that you want Power Query to be available on additional platforms, specifically in Excel for Mac and Excel for the web. And we had you. And we decided to continue our journey to bring Power Query to additional platforms. And this is what the team is working on as we speak. But there was a technical challenge, like, well, what's the best way to bring Power Query into additional platforms? To make the long story short, at some point we decided to rely on a new version of Power Query called Power Query Online. As it sounds, Power Query Online is a service, again, developed by a SQL organization. And it was introduced somewhere in 2017. And as it sounds, it's just Power Query on the web, right? You will see shortly how it works. And it's already used in multiple Microsoft products like Power Automate, Power BI, Dataverse, which is previously called Common Data Service. I really need to replace the name here on this screenshot. Diving like a little bit more further and speaking a little bit about the technical part of the solution. So in a nutshell, our cross-platform solution for Power Query consists of 3 major pieces. The first piece is a new queries and connection side pane. The existing side pane that you're familiar with on Win32 works only on Win32. It cannot work on web, it cannot work on Mac. So we need to create a new queries and connection side pane. We are relying on the UI from the Power Query online service, and we are running it locally, and we're also running it in Excel for the web. And last but not least, we're making sure that the Power Query engine, this is the entity, the whole engine that powers all the Power Query capabilities, can run cross-platform. Any questions so far?
No, guys, so far nothing.
Cool. I stopped reading questions in the chat, but I promise to go through the messages in the chat later on and answer the questions related to this part of the demo. Sorry, of the presentation. So let's see some demos for Power Query in Excel for Mac and for the web. Unfortunately, my Mac giving me some troubles and I can't really present from it. So I have prepared a couple of recordings to demo Power Query on Mac, and later on I will show you Power Query in Excel for the web as well, or at least some parts of the Power Query in Excel for the web. But first, let's go with the demo for Power Query on Mac. Let me know if you can hear the sound. Hi, in this demo, I will talk about the, can you hear the sound?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. So I will start the video from the beginning. Hi, in this demo, I will talk about the progress we achieved in Power Query for Mac. And let's start with the refresh. So as you can see, Excel for Mac now supports refresh for Power Query queries that load data from a variety of sources. We support refresh from local files, tables and ranges in the current workbook, files on SharePoint, SharePoint list, SharePoint folder, and SQL Server. So it's a nice collection of popular data sources that you most probably use in your reports. And let's see how it works. So I have a query table here that pulls data from a Power Query query that is connected to a local file. And how do I see the list of queries in my workbook? All I need to do is switch to the Data tab on the Excel ribbon on Mac and click on this button, which is called Queries and Connections. A dialog is being opened for me, and here I can see the list of queries and legacy connections. I can also refresh a query from here if I wish, or delete it. In my case, I will close it, and I will do a refresh another way. So to refresh my data, all I need to do is to click here on the refresh button. I can also do it from the right-click menu by clicking on a refresh command here, but I will do it from a refresh all button. So let's click on it. Excel says running background query. Let's give it a couple of moments. And as you can see, I now have more data in my workbook. Let's go to the pivot table next to my query table and quickly refresh it. And as you can see, the numbers were updated as well. So this way I can refresh my data and work with the most updated reports in Excel for Mac. Another important capability that you need to be aware of is the data source settings dialog. So what happens if I would like to change the location of a source file, or I would like to change credentials to the data source? It's actually similar to what you're familiar with on Win32. All I need to do is again switch to a Data tab, open this Get Data dropdown, and I will talk about it shortly. Click on the data source settings. A data source settings dialog is open for me. I can see the list of all data sources in my workbook. If I would like to change a file path to this particular data source, I can do it from here by clicking on the Change File Path button. I can also clear permission to this data source in case the data source supports permissions, of course. Click on Close, refresh my data again, and have the data refreshed from the new data source. And that's it with the refresh demo. I hope you will find it useful. So that's the first demo, and as you've seen, it shows you what we support in terms of refresh with the Power Query on Mac. All the functionalities that you've just seen is already available in production, so I encourage you to go and try it yourself. Any questions about this?
Okay, so far nothing.
Cool. So let's see the second demo, and this one will be about import. Now let's talk about import with Power Query on Mac. So I have a new workbook opened here, and to start importing data with Power Query, all I need to do is switch to the Data tab, and you will notice that there is a new button here called Get Data. I can click on it, or I can click on a small arrow next to it, and I have a drop-down open. Let's take a look at the commands available in this drop-down. The first command is Get Data. This is the entry point into Power Query experience on Mac. The next four commands are the legacy data import wizards. If you previously imported data in Excel for Mac, you should be familiar with them. And the last command is data source settings, which opens the data source settings dialog, and you've seen it in the previous demo. So let's click on the Get Data command. I have a new window opened for me, and this is the data source selector. At this stage, we support importing from local Excel workbooks or local text and CSV files. In this demo, I will be showing how to import data from Excel workbook, so I will just click on it. A new screen is opened for me, and you can see that it's a wizard-like experience. You have a back button and you have a next button, so I can always click on a back button, for example, and move to the previous step. Let's click on Excel workbook again. So here I need to select the source file I would like to import the data from. So I will just click on the browse file. I will select the Excel workbook that I would like to import the data from. I have a workbook here with some sample data, and I will click on Get Data. Once I've selected a file, a path to this file is shown right here, and I can click Next to continue to the next step. The next step is a data preview window. Give it a couple of seconds. Here we go. So here I can see all the tables and all the sheets that exist in the source Excel file, and I can select the data that I would like to import the data from. So you should be familiar, by the way, with this screen if you previously used Power Query on Windows. So in this example, I will select to import the data from two tables, from contracts in 2021 and contracts in 2022. So I'm selecting two tables, and now I will click Load. Once I've clicked on the Load button, the data is being loaded into Excel. At this stage, we support loading into query tables. And for each query table, we create a new sheet. In other words, we load data into a query table on a new sheet, like this. And once the data is being loaded, I can continue and analyze the data using regular Excel tools like pivot tables, for example. So let me create a pivot table really quick here. I can continue and work with the data as I usually do, and do all kinds of data analysis and so on. And it's important to mention that if what happened?
Something happened to the sound, but it's now okay. It was like 30 seconds of robotic sound. I think it gets fine now.
Okay. Cool. So let's continue, and I hope the sound will be okay.
Yeah, we will write you otherwise.
Sure. Source file, the data in the source file is changing. Then I can always go to the data tab and click on the refresh all button. Since we support refresh from local files as well, the data will be refreshed, and this way I will work with the most updated data in my reports. And that's it for now. So just to summarize, Power Query in Excel for Mac supports importing data from local text and CSV files. And I hope more functionality will be coming soon, so stay tuned. Yeah, so we are done. Oh, let me close this media file. So we are done with the demo for Power Query in Excel for Mac. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Awesome. Any questions about Power Query in Excel for Mac? I mean, I personally think that it's exciting, and if you think so as well, you're welcome to share your feelings on the chat.
Yes, I have a question about Power Query for Mac, because a lot of my clients work with Mac. Don't ask me why, but I didn't know that now Mac was available. All the functionality of Power Query are available for Mac?
Well, not all the functionality. As I've mentioned, we support refresh from several sources that you've seen here. Yeah. Specifically, we support refresh from local files, tables and ranges in the current workbook, files on SharePoint, SharePoint list, SharePoint folder, and SQL Server. And we support import from local files, from local Excel workbooks and local text and CSV files. And the import part is rolling to production as we speak. I think right now it's open to approximately like 10% of customers on production. Okay. And we are continuing the rollout, and it will be available for more customers in the coming days or weeks.
Okay, but if someone create a workbook with Excel on Windows and share it with someone with Macintosh, does it work or not?
It should, absolutely. Yeah, you may need to change the file path, right? Like if you're importing from a local file, then you may need to change your file path. If you're importing from a file that is stored on a SharePoint, then this file can be accessed both from Windows and from Mac. This way you don't need to change the file path, and it will just work.
Okay, thanks.
Cool. Let's move on and show this time a live demo for Power Query in Excel for the web.
Wow.
Well, it's just a small piece of Power Query, and specifically it's just the queries and connection side pane. It's not the entire Power Query. You can't refresh yet, and you can't really import data or shape it with Power Query. So I'm just going to show you the progress we achieved with bringing Power Query into Excel for the web. So I have a workbook here with some Power Query queries in it. And as you can see, this workbook is opened in Excel for the web. It's a browser window. There is a URL here, as you can see. It looks similar to the desktop experience, right? But it's Excel for the web. As I've mentioned, in this demo, I will show you a new queries side pane that we are working on. So to open it and to see all the Power Query queries that are currently in your workbook, you need to switch to the Data tab on the Excel ribbon, and you will notice that there is a button here, a new button here called Queries. Let me click on it, and you have a side pane opened. It looks familiar to the side pane experience that you have on Win32, yeah, it looks almost the same, but we made some improvements and some additions based on the feedback that we had from you folks, from our customers. So first of all, here on the top, you can see the number of queries in this workbook. There are query groups, and those groups can be nested, and I can see the respective queries in each group. I can scroll down and see additional queries that exist in my workbook. I can click on a particular query, and it takes me to the relevant object where the data from that query is being loaded to. So I can click on additional query, and that query is loaded into a query table. And this one is loaded into a pivot table. Let me zoom in and show you some additional information that we are showing for each of the queries. So in addition to the number of rows loaded, we also show you when this query was last refreshed. So you know that you're working with the most updated data, and you can trust the data and in terms that it's refreshed right and up to date. And you can also see where the data was loaded to. So this is a kind of a metadata that we show for each of the queries. And the important thing, so yeah, at this stage, this is what's available in terms of Power Query in Excel for the web, a site pane with a read-only list of queries, which you can consume and see what queries are available there in your workbook. Obviously, we are working on it, and more functionality will be coming soon. But it's a really important thing that I would like to emphasize is that this site pane is actually cross-platform site pane, right? So in the future, we'll bring this site pane to additional platforms, and you will see it on Mac as well, and in the longer term on Win32 also. So that's all about Power Query in Excel for the web, and let me know if you have any questions. Cool, and I see some excitement in the chat. Thank you so much. In terms of availability, there were a couple of questions in the chat during the entire session about what's available and where and how can I use this feature or that feature. So this slide summarizes it all. XLOOKUP dynamic arrays, let, Office scripts, and collaboration are fully available for Office 365 subscribers. LAMBDA is available for Office Insiders. If you would like to try it, you should go to insider.office.com, enroll into an Office Insiders program, and try LAMBDA yourself. By the way, obviously, we are working to roll out LAMBDA to production. And I don't have a specific timeline for that, but I hope it will happen soon. Speaking about Power Query for Mac and for the web, then, as I've showed you, Power Query for Mac, in terms of refresh, we support refresh from multiple sources, and we support import from local Excel workbook, local text and CSV files. I encourage you to go to this link below, aka.ms/pqexcelmac, kind of self-descriptive, right? And there will be a lot of information there about all the things that are supported today in Power Query for Mac. By the way, VBA, like all the VBA, Power Query VBA is fully supported in Excel for Mac, so you can actually write scripts that create new queries, perform transformations, load data into the grid, and things like that. And speaking about Power Query in Excel for the web, then at this stage, what's available is just the new query site pane that you've seen in the last demo. Moving to the next slide, I really encourage you to take a snapshot of this slide. By the way, we will make sure we will send the presentation later on to Faraz, and I believe he will share it with you all. So anyway, there are a bunch of useful links here. The first two links will take you to the what's new in Excel. The first link will take you to the what's new in Excel for desktop, and the second link will take you to the what's new in Excel online. I really encourage you to follow these links and stay up to date. The next link, Excel to the blog. So if you would like to stay up to date in terms of features that we're releasing and the overall Excel news, I really encourage you to follow the blogs that we post there on this portal. If you would like to improve your Excel skills, go to office.com/excel/help. There are a lot of help and training materials there. They are really useful, and I'm sure you will learn a lot of new stuff. If you would like to try new functionality that are not available to production yet, then I encourage you to join the aka.ms/office insiders. This link will guide you through enrollment process to Office Insiders program, so you'll be able to get your hands on earlier features that we are releasing and provide feedback to us. And I also encourage you to join our vibrant Excel community, engage in conversations with others, get help, and help others. Last but not least, the Excel team is constantly looking for new participants for various studies, for various usability studies and customer studies that we run. For what it's worth, I'll be conducting a usability study myself, focused on customers who bring data into Excel. So if you would like to provide feedback and help us shape the future of Excel, I really encourage you to join the research panel. You can scan the QR code, or you can just go to the link below, complete the enrollment process, and we will contact you when the relevant study arises. And I think we are done with our presentation. So first of all, I mean, I would really like to thank you all. This was a really exciting for us to be here and speak in front of you. And I hope that we will be able to see you all face to face in the near future. And we have time for Q&A now. So thank you all.
Yeah, we'll just wait for like a minute so that people put that in the chat.
Sure.
And it was a really lovely guy. Yeah. Danny, lovely, you know, those lambdas and the new refresh is really awesome, fantastic. And I've been quietly closely following up the blogs which have been written, and it's really challenging, you know, that how your team is working on to get those technology working, you know, seamlessly and effortlessly on various platforms. That is really fantastic. The hard work has been seen now.
Thank you.
Okay. So I think if any chat questions comes up, guy, I will email you also on that. And I think we can end the live session from the YouTube, but we are still going to be on Zoom. But before I end my session, guy, and the team, I usually ask my presenter any last words they would like to say, any kind of a quote, Steve Jobs quote, Satya Nadella quotes, or your own anything. So I would like to start with Itai. Itai, you have any last words, any last word you'd like to share?
Last words for this event or overall?
Last words for this event.
Oh, okay. Just kidding. Thank you, everyone, both on Zoom and YouTube, for joining us. We love these opportunities to talk in front of customers and especially hear your feedback. If you have suggestions for improvements, for new features in Excel, all platforms, so we'll be happy to hear them. We'll leave a link to the platform where you can leave your suggestions, and I can say that we are going over them and take them really carefully. Many of the features that we have developed were proposed by users, so it would be really great to get your feedback. Thanks again.
Leif, over to you.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for us and all the participants. It was a very amazing event. I hope you enjoyed, and Feel free to email me with any question that you have regarding Excel, question, suggestion, problem. I'll be happy to assist. Thank you.
Thank you. Stanley.
Hey, just a big +1 to all my friends here. So happy to be here and to present to you. And I really hope you enjoyed it. And of course, we're very, very customer driven, as everyone, all my friends here mentioned. Really always looking for ways to learn from you, from our customers. So any feedback, question, idea, or we'd love to hear it. So thank you.
Cool. Guy, the showstopper, as all I said.
Yeah. On my end, I just wanted to say one more time that it was an honor speaking in front of you all. Faraz, thank you so much for organizing this event and inviting us all. Yeah, I just want to say that Excel is exciting. Thank you.
Thank you. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you for joining, and it was fantastic. And thank you, Microsoft and Microsoft team, for being here on this meetup. And make sure that you go on the meetup for the Saudi Arabia Power Platform meetup, and you can sign up for the meetups over there. And you can go on the next meetup, which is going to happen in February now. So let's go and meet up in February. But we have some more events in the community happening, so make sure that you check them out as well. See you. Bye from YouTube. Take care.